You're scrolling through your phone at 11:47 p.m. lying in bed, and there's a guy on your screen standing in front of a rented Lamborghini telling you that if you're not making money while you sleep, you're doing life wrong. He's got a course. It's $497, but if you buy in the next 20 minutes, it's $297. He printed a check for $84,000 and he's holding it up to the camera like it's a fish he caught. Behind him, you can see the hotel conference room carpet, the kind with the swirly pattern designed specifically so nobody can tell if it's stained. You watch for 6 more seconds. You feel a little spike of something, half hope, half shame, and then you close the app and stare at your ceiling doing math you don't want to do. You already have a job. You already work 40, sometimes 50 hours a week, and somehow the internet has convinced you that this isn't enough. That you're supposed to be doing something else on top of it, flipping something, dropshipping something, consulting on something, building a brand. And if you're not, you're leaving money on the table, you're being lazy, you're choosing to stay poor. My name is Horizon, and today we're going to talk about something that is going to make a lot of people in the comments very upset. We're going to talk about why the side hustle, as it's been sold to you, is mostly a lie. A total lie. Not a scam in the legal sense, but a lie in the sense that it promises something it almost never delivers. It quietly distracts millions of people from the boring thing that actually builds wealth. If you want to understand how money actually works instead of chasing the version of it that gets clicks, go ahead and subscribe. Let's start with the part nobody wants to say out loud. Most side hustles don't make real money. Don't make life-changing money. Don't make real money at all. There was a survey a few years back that found something like 4 in 10 Americans have a side hustle right now, 40%. That's not a niche behavior anymore. That's basically a second job market that runs parallel to the real one. The median monthly income from a side hustle is somewhere around $200 to $300, not per week, per month. That's the median, meaning half of people are making even less than that. Didn't say you can make an extra $250 a month if you're consistent and a little bit lucky. He said you can replace your income, quit your job, and live free. It's not that side hustles make $0. It's that the entire industry around promoting side hustles massively oversells the outcome while systematically underselling the cost. Say you drive for a rideshare app 3 nights a week after your day job. 4 hours a night, 3 nights, that's 12 hours. You're bringing in maybe $20 an hour after gas, after wear on your car, after the app's cut. That's $240 a week, which sounds decent until you remember you also have a full-time job. So now you're working 52, 55 hours a week total. You come home at midnight smelling like other people's fast food and their cologne. You sleep 6 hours and you do it again. Here's the question nobody asks. What did you give up to make that $240? You gave up sleep, which affects your performance at your actual job, the one that pays your actual salary and has actual promotion potential. Fatigue isn't free. It's just an invisible bill that arrives later. When you take on a side hustle purely to generate extra cash flow through your own labor, you're not building momentum. You're just pushing a second boulder up a second hill. There's no compounding happening. There's no snowball. It's just linear effort for linear reward, and the moment you stop pushing, the money stops completely. Side hustles are just a second job wearing a startup costume. Category 1 is what I'll call labor for cash hustles. Rideshare driving, food delivery, freelance gig work on platforms, dog walking, house cleaning, tutoring by the hour. Your income is capped by your hours, and your hours are already mostly spoken for by your real job. You cannot scale a labor for cash hustle without giving it more of your body's time, and your body's time is the one resource you cannot manufacture more of. This category will never build real wealth. It can help you dig out of an emergency. It can cover a specific short-term goal. Category 2 is what I'll call the aspirational brand hustle. This is dropshipping, print-on-demand shirts, becoming a content creator, an Amazon FBA seller, opening an Etsy shop. Nobody makes a course about how to be really good at DoorDash, but everybody makes a course about how I built a 6-figure Shopify store. The vast majority of people who start these businesses lose money in the first year, not break even, lose money. Between ad spend, platform fees, product costs, and software subscriptions, most people are net negative before they ever see a profit. Something like 80 to 90% of dropshipping stores specifically fail within the first few months. People selling you the course on how to do this are, more often than not, making their actual money from the course, not from the business the course describes. If someone had actually cracked a repeatable, scalable formula, they would run that formula quietly and take the profits, not spend their time filming YouTube videos about it. The fact that they're selling you the map instead of using the map themselves should tell you something about how good the map actually is. Category 3, and this is the one that actually matters, is what I'll call the skill leverage hustle. This is freelance work in a field where you already have real expertise, consulting in your actual industry, building something you own outright. Requires you to already possess a valuable, rare skill, and it requires you to build something that doesn't require your constant hourly presence to keep generating money. That second part is the entire ballgame, and almost nobody selling side hustle content talks about it honestly, because it's boring and it takes years. Me introduce you to someone. Let's call him Marcus. Marcus is 29, works as a warehouse supervisor making $58,000 a year. Solid job, decent benefits, not exciting but stable. 2 years ago, Marcus watched one of those videos. Guy in a nice kitchen talking about how he built a 6-figure online business selling phone accessories through paid ads. Marcus got excited. He had $4,000 saved up, his entire emergency fund, and he decided this was the moment. Bought a $997 course. He set up a store. He spent the next 6 months running Facebook and Instagram ads for phone cases. Worked on it every night after his warehouse shift, every weekend, missed his nephew's birthday party because he was in the middle of a launch. He genuinely believed he was 6 months away from quitting his job. His ad costs kept climbing because everybody in his little product niche was running the exact same ads, the exact same products. Profit margin after ad spend, shipping, platform fees, and returns was something like $4 per sale on a good day. A bad day it was negative. Over those 6 months, he spent about $6,200 total. Made about $3,100 in gross revenue. Net, he was down roughly $3,100. And that's not even counting the roughly 500 hours of his own labor that went into it, hours he could have spent sleeping or resting. Or, and this is the part that actually matters, studying for the operations management certification that would have gotten him promoted at his actual job. Marcus isn't stupid. I want to be really clear about that because the comments section loves to call people like Marcus stupid. He's not. Did something reasonable sounding, based on advice from people who seemed successful, using a framework that gets marketed relentlessly as the modern path to freedom. System worked exactly as designed. It just wasn't designed to make Marcus rich. It was designed to make the course seller rich, and Marcus was the raw material. Side hustles feel productive in a way that investing doesn't. This is the core of the whole trap. When Marcus spent an evening tweaking his ad targeting, he felt like he was doing something. He was active. He was in the arena. Compare that to putting $200 into an index fund every month. There's no dashboard that lights up. Brain, which is wired to reward activity and effort with a sense of progress, hates this. It feels like doing nothing. Here's the actual math, and this is the part I need you to sit with for a second. If Marcus had put $200 a month into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund for those 6 months, at 8% annually, in year 1 it looks unimpressive. Maybe $2,500 saved. That forward 25 years, same $200 a month, and you're looking at somewhere around $190. If Marcus bumps that up to $400 a month once he gets a couple of raises, you're talking about crossing $380,000 to $400,000 over that same 25-year window. For money that required, on a monthly basis, roughly 0 hours of his time after the initial setup. This is the trade nobody explains clearly. The side hustle promises you an active, exciting, controllable path to wealth. The truth is that path is capped, exhausting, and statistically likely to lose money. Meanwhile, the boring path is slow, invisible, and completely uncontrollable in the short term. It is also, over any meaningful time horizon, dramatically more likely to actually make you wealthy. The tortoise isn't just a nice metaphor here. Let's talk about Priya for a second. Priya is 34, works as a dental hygienist, makes about $71,000 a year. She doesn't have a side hustle. She's never run an ad in her life. What she does have is a boring, almost aggressively unremarkable financial routine. She maxes out her employer's 401k match because it's free money. She contributes an additional 10% of her income into a Roth IRA and has never once increased her spending when she's gotten a raise. She still drives the same 2016 Honda Civic she bought used 7 years ago. She started at 27 with basically nothing. A little bit of credit card debt actually, about $3,000 worth, which she paid off within her first year. 7 years later, between her contributions, her employer match, and market growth, she has just under $210,000 across her retirement accounts. From a side hustle, not from a lucky stock pick, from automated boring contributions and simply not sabotaging them. Priya's path required almost no skill. It required no product sourcing, no ad copywriting, no dealing with customer complaints. It required discipline, yes, but a specific, narrow, achievable kind of discipline. Set up the automation once and then get out of your own way. That's genuinely most of it. The hardest part happened in about 20 minutes of setting up automatic transfers 7 years ago. Everything since then has just been not touching it and not panicking during the 2 rough years the market had along the way. But Horizon, some people actually do make it big with a side hustle. And sure, that's true. I'm not going to sit here and tell you nobody has ever built a successful business starting on nights and weekends. Some absolutely have. Here's what almost always separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't, and it's rarely discussed honestly. People who actually succeed usually already had a rare, valuable skill before they started. Software engineer who builds a tool solving a problem they deeply understand from years in the industry. A specialized consultant who already has a professional network worth tens of thousands of dollars built up over a decade. Notice what's common in every one of those examples. The hustle isn't the source of the value. The side hustle, in successful cases, is usually just the moment where an already valuable skill finally gets monetized directly instead of through an employer. It's the harvest, not the planting. There's also a survivorship bias problem baked into all of this that's worth naming directly. You never see the guy who spent $8,000 on Facebook ads for a candle business that never sold a single candle after the first month. You never see the woman who put her family's rent money into a dropshipping store because a video convinced her it was basically guaranteed. Those people don't make follow-up videos. They quietly delete their Shopify store, eat the loss, and never talk about it publicly again. Meanwhile, the tiny percentage of people who did make real money from a side hustle are incentivized to talk about it constantly, loudly, and often. You are being shown an incredibly skewed sample of outcomes and asked to calculate your odds based on it. The same way someone standing outside a casino, only interviewing people walking out with winnings, would conclude that gambling is a fantastic wealth-building strategy. Let's compare 2 versions of the same person over a 10-year period. Both start at 27. Both make $60,000 a year at a stable job. Person A spends an average of 10 hours a week on various side hustles over that decade. Across the whole 10 years, after accounting for the money lost on failed attempts and money made on the ones that worked, Person A nets out somewhere around $14,000 total. Person B spends 0 hours on side hustles, but takes those same 10 hours a week and does something almost embarrassingly unglamorous with them. Half of it goes towards simply resting and recovering, which improves performance at their actual job. Other half goes towards slowly developing one specific skill relevant to their actual career, studying for a certification, learning new software, building relationships. That decade, this results in 2 solid promotions instead of 1, adding roughly $18,000 a year to their base salary by year 10. That's not a one-time hit like Person A's hustle income. That's a permanent increase to their earning baseline that compounds every single year going forward. That increases their 401k match dollar amount. That increases their Social Security contributions. That increases every future raise calculated as a percentage of a now higher number. Person A got a one-time $14,000 bump spread over 10 exhausting years. Person B got a permanent structural increase in their entire financial trajectory.